The Voice Chameleon, lending a voice to those whom demand to be heard.
Hey, what's up, gang? D back with another Tuesday tip here on February 19th, 2019. And it's time for part 3 of the harsh truths of life as a VOA. You know, the something dark side of voiceover. So today, let's talk expenses. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail on each individual item, but I just want to kind of give you a breakdown of kind of a list of things you're going to need to compete at a high level. All right. Big misconception out there is people think you can just, record on your iPhone or something. I don't recommend going with a $50 USB mic and plugging it into a laptop that you use for other things and saying you have a studio. It's not right. Of course, we've talked about this a million times. You need a proper recording space. The environment, the room you use needs to be soundproofed, treated acoustically so that it's absorbing sound as well as not letting outside sound in. Some people use a whisper room or a recording booth. Those things alone can run you $2,500, $5,000 depending on what you're doing. That's just the recording environment stuff, right? If you're going to just soundproof a room yourself, you can do it for a few $100s. You need, of course, a microphone, proper microphone. I'm not saying you have to get those industry standard things like the Neumann TLM 103 or the Sennheiser 416. I use a broadcast standard mic, which is the Electro Voice RE20. You don't necessarily need those things, but again, if you have those things, it just sets something off in people's heads that you're a true pro. It's just one of those things. It's kind of like, if you drive a BMW as a real estate agent, people take you a little more seriously than if you're driving a Saturn from 1998. It's just perception is reality to a lot of folks. Because remember, you are also in the entertainment industry. You're in the advertising industry. You're dealing with Hollywood oftentimes. You're dealing with Madison Avenue kind of people if you're dealing with the advertising end of things. Appearances make a difference. Now, you can get away with less expensive equipment, but all these things are going to run you at least a few $100s to several $1,000s, depending on what level of equipment you're trying to get. Proper computer, like I said, you don't want to be using your personal PC that you do for gaming and junk up with a bunch of videos and downloading your music on or whatever. You want to have a computer strictly for doing your job. You're going to need the accessories, cables. You might need speaker stands for your monitors. You might need just little things like clips for certain things. You might want to get a staple gun or spray glue or things like that to put together your soundproofing. These are all things that add up. Beautiful thing is everything you spend in this business you can write off for tax purposes. And that, of course, is people I'm talking to in the U.S. I don't know how taxes work in other countries, but can only go by what I know. So, of course, again, the computer, you need a DAW, right? How do you edit your audio? Audacity is that free one that a lot of people use. I've used it. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it does the job for a lot of people. I like the Adobe package because I get all their programs and I drop I got it on a good deal. It was like $30 a month and I'm locked into that for a year to have every piece of Adobe software. That's pretty awesome. Just another little tip to save some money. You need the headphones, the monitors, obviously your interface because that's what changes your analog signal from your mic into a digital signal that goes into your computer. A lot of even the mid-range interfaces, in my opinion, have garbage preamps. So I would recommend getting a really good interface or getting external preamps. You can run it a few different ways, but your equipment will end up running you a few hundred to a few thousand depending on where you're trying to take your career. Okay? Then you got to worry about training, coaching. Yeah, you need to learn from professionals on how to do this. You may have a pleasant voice, you may know how to read beautifully out loud, but there's a certain cadence, there's certain words you need to emphasize, and it's all this stuff that you can't figure out on your own. You have to work with a professional. Trust me. And then when you're done with your coaching, you want to cut a demo. You need demos to put out there. That is like your business card, right? Like a sizzle reel for video folks and things like that. Portfolio for graphic designers and stuff. You have to have samples ready for potential clients to listen to, for them to know that A, you're good enough to pull this off, B, what you sound like, and C, for them to share with their client, because their client's usually going to make the final decision. A good demo can cost you $2,000 or more. You might want to have multiple demos. You want a narration and advertising demo. You want, a character demo. Do you want an imaging demo? What do you want? You can spend $10,000 on demos alone over the course of a couple years. How are you connecting? Are you only going to do self-directed stuff? Because if you're only going to do self-directed stuff, then your market's a bit cut off, because a lot of the high-end stuff has to be done through at least something like Source Connect, which is kind of a digital version of ISDN. ISDN, if you want to get one of those lines put in, that's going to cost you a lot of money, but it's definitely worth having. So, because it's still industry standard. IPDTL, another option. These are connectivity things that basically get your studio connected to the client studio, so everything can be directed and smooth. So that right there is the basic stuff I would tell you need. There's also going to be things like, the software you get for tax purposes and other parts to run your business. Again, I will reiterate this in every video. You are running a business. Treat it as such. You need to put in the money to get this business off the ground. There's startup costs. All this stuff is startup costs. Oh, and by the way, are you going to use audition sites and freelance sites? Guess what? All the reputable ones require subscription fees. You can spend, $200 a year to, if you want to get to, platinum level on some of these, you can spend over $1,000 a year. Oh, almost forgot. What about a website? You're running a professional business. You need a website. That's where your demos will live. Maybe some videos of stuff you've done, client reviews, other things you can put on there to make you look more attractive to potential clients. And, of course, that you can do on your own, or you can hire someone to do it. Either way, you're going to spend some money on that. And then with that, you can do a lot of the marketing, like the CRM, SEO marketing. These are other costs that can be very effective when used properly and done by the right people. This is money you got to spend up front. Again, it's startup costs. I'm not saying you have to spend all this money at once, but over the course of, at least, let's say, a 5-year span in your career, you need to drop this money. So we're talking, with everything I've talked about, it wouldn't be hard to drop $25,000. You don't need to, again. You will figure it out as you go along what's best for you, what's in your budget. That is part 3 of the harsh truths behind life as a VOA. And I will wrap up everything for this February series of the harsh truths next week. So thanks again for stopping by. Have a great rest of your week.
The Voice Chameleon, lending a voice to those whom demand to be heard.